Hello everyone, welcome back to Chess Comic. We are now in round 2 of the Norway Chess 2026, and Alireza Firouzja is absolutely on fire, lit. And after defeating Bragg in round 2, Alireza now has a perfect score, 6 out of 6. I mean, it has a different scoring system, where I'm going to explain that later. And let's also not forget Alireza defeated Magnus Carlsen yesterday in an intense battle under pressure, so right now all eyes are on Alireza and his incredible form in the tournament after withdrawing from his previous tournament because of an ankle injury. So without further ado, let's start going over the games. Okay, so let's start with this one. As you can see, here we go. So I'll also play d4. I thought this game is going to be a Catalan after he played the move order of knight f3, but it was still transposed to a semi-Slav, bishop g5, and then later was transposed to what? The Queen's Gambit declined e3. So chess is really mysterious, right? It's a game for smart people because there are a lot of transpositions. And aside from that, you need to have an in-depth understanding of different transpositions or opening ideas. So h6 was played, bishop h4, g5. So right now we are following a certain opening line, right? Knight b6 was played, castle, and just to let you know, whenever white castles on the queen side, most of the time white wants war if black castles on the king side, in which, of course, I mean, if black castles on the king side, it's going to be trouble right now. As you can see, the white pieces are aiming at the king side, and yeah, maybe they could be sacrificed on g5, something like that. So Prague also decided to castle long or on the queen side. So as you can see, he's preparing his king to castle on the queen side. There you go. So this is pretty much equal. So moving forward, um, both of them were playing well. Just a normal maneuver of pieces, trying to put it on the right squares. And as of the moment, they have both of them are in the 90s of accuracy, perhaps 97, 98% accuracy. A4, and black is even slightly much better in this position because of the pair of bishops. H4, g takes, bishop f5, bishop f6. And we're going to see in a few moves a mistake or a positional mistake played by Prague. So right now, black is slightly much better. The engine was suggesting rook to g8 to put more pressure on. It's not trying to capture the pawn, but it's tying up the knight from moving, right? It will just be what? Tied up to defend the g2 pawn. Or if white would want to move the knight, he has to play f3. That would create another weakness, which is e3. So the queen protects the pawn, but yep, it will create another weakness. So rook g8 was suggested by the engine here. As you can see, normally if a move is played bad, the engine will tag it as bad, right? But the engine didn't tag it as bad, but from a negative 40, 0.4, 0.30, 0.37 is just the same. It went all the way plus 40. So which means this move can be considered as bad, positionally wrong, or an inaccuracy, right? But why? I also don't understand. Anyway, it means trading off the queens is not a great idea for black because black has a few weaknesses. Maybe one of it is this pawn. One of it is this pawn as well. But it doesn't really look like, right? If you're thinking that this rook is misplaced, it seems like it's easy to think on where to reroute this rook. Rook d5. But since it's white's turn to move, white was able to play rook c5 right away. And there's no time for this rook to be rerouted, because if the rook goes to d5, I'll be capture, capture, and rook on the 7th rank is always strong. Now, let's try to go back. Only if the black rook has given a time to go to d5 without rook c5. That would be good for black. Anyway, so Alireza played rook c5. h3 was played by Pragg. Took, rook f5. And now this is the start of trouble. Knight c2 was played. There you go. Rook g1 now, trying to reroute this rook. This rook can go to g8 with a check, go to f8, put pressure, or even go rook g4, rook f4, put pressure. Yep. And rook g4 was played. You know, okay, the engine didn't like knight b4. I'm not really sure why the engine didn't like knight b4, but if we're gonna take or understand why, the engine was actually suggesting for this knight to be on a1, then reroute to b3, perhaps d2, c4, or f1 going to g3, which makes a lot of sense too. But maybe Alvarez was planning to play knight b4 then d5. I saw something here earlier during the live game broadcast in which if white plays rook gf4, black plays rook h6, knight a1, let's say the king goes to b6, knight c5, knight b3, a5, knight c5, something like this. And now white is winning because white has a threat on f6. So if the king goes to c7, there'll be knight takes e6, right? So after the rook runs away, let's say rook to d6, you'll capture f6, and there'll be a forky dorky on d7. Right? It's a shallow thing, but it's a good idea or strategy for us to know that thinking the knight was moved to the corner of the board and it has a good future on c5. Now, let's go back to what really happened. Knight b4 was played, rook h6, knight a2, rook g6 takes, rook f4. I'm gonna go fast forward, right? Fast forward. Because at some point here, I was kidding around the stream during the stream that Alireza is cheating. He's playing like an engine. I think up to this point here. So this one started with a rook g1. For me as a not good player, I was thinking of f4, trying to create a passer. Right? It is not a bad move, but it makes sense. Create a passer. Although the engine was suggesting rook g1, and Alireza played rook g1. I'm like, oh, is this some sort of a hack? Pragg gave a check, and then again I said, oh, if I was the one playing for white, I'm gonna play king c4. But if I move king c4, black would play rook e5, king d3 would be a repetition, right? So the engine was suggesting king e2. Alireza played king e2. Two straight top engine moves. Okay, the move of king d6 is a logical move for black. Why? Because one of white's ideas is to play knight d2, knight c4. And now Alireza played knight d2, which is a top engine move, the third top engine move. And if and Pragg played king a5, it's preventing knight c4 because if white plays knight c4, there'll be king d4 attacking the pawn, and the knight will perhaps go back, right? And in this position, so started from rook g1, so king e2, knight e2, these are the top engine moves, right? And Alireza was preparing to play knight c4, and he played the fourth consecutive top engine move, which is rook to g4. Is Alireza really cheating? Does he have his own bids? Beads? Or whatever? Now, what is the threat of rook to g4? It's to play knight c4. If the king goes to b6, let's just visualize, okay? Or, okay, I'm gonna play a random move just for you guys to see it. Let's say bishop goes to f8. And after knight c4, king goes to b6. King goes to b4. There goes knight to b6. Bloop! I discovered attack, and the black rook says bye-bye. That's a threat. So let's go back. Rook g4 was played, and then Pragg played rook to d8. So, and then Alireza played rook to e4. What on earth? Starting on rook g1, king e2, knight d2, rook g4, rook e4. This is the fifth consecutive time that Alireza played the top engine moves. Bishop f8. Here it's not top engine move, but still during the live broadcast, King d1 was the third best engine move. So now let's just move forward on how the game ended. It was a nice maneuvering of pieces done by Alireza. Okay, this one can't be captured, obviously, because there will be a discovered attack either on d2 or on e5 to the rook, to king to the rook, and knight to the black rook, or here. Okay, rook and knight d2, and so we are close to the resignation. Alireza played a5. What is a threat? Checkmate on a4. Pragg played rook h4, just trying to defend a4 checkmate. Rook a4 checkmate. Alireza played f4. c4 was played. It was just taken, and Pragg resigned. Why? Because after king a2, which is the only way, or it's not really the only way, he can play this move, bishop b4, but if he plays bishop to b4, there'll be knight b1 check. King has to run away to a2, then followed by rook takes b4. White wins easily. And if he plays king a2, there will be a check, keep boop, boop. Bishop is forced to block, and here goes knight to c4. Bloop. And there'll be rook takes a4. I mean, rook takes a3, unstoppable, and white wins. Okay, now let's go to the game of Magnus and Vincent. It ended up in a draw here, so I want to focus more on the tiebreaker. But yep. I just want to show you the part where Magnus sacrificed a piece here. Okay, he sacrificed a piece, which is a mistake. So here, first, rook d7 was played. I thought Magnus would be able to spot rooks. I mean, I'm pretty sure he saw this one. He just didn't play it. He decided to play rook a7. But the top engine move was pawn to c5. Now, here, Magnus blundered. He sacrificed. Vincent took b5. So this is what you call the Magnus effect. He blunders a sacrifice, and yet it feels like it's a brilliant move when you're playing against him. So this is what happens. Knight e8, the engine was adjusting knight e6. After takes, queen takes d6. Let's say bishop e8 is gonna be played. Then there'll be queen takes b6. So white has connected passers, which makes it uncomfortable for black, but black is winning here, because of knight gf4, and perhaps there is a good counter on the king side. So Vincent didn't go for this. Instead, because of the Magnus effect, right? He played knight e8, which is not good for him. Magnus went back. Magnus now by material, but Vincent just gave it back. So why did he give it back? Maybe it's because after he thought of after moving the bishop back to b6, there will be a move like c5. Play turning c6. If the pawn captures, there will be queen takes d7. If b takes, there will be bishop to g5, trapping the queen. Ooh. Chicky. That's a chicky move. Okay, now let's try to go back. Here, knight e8, rook a2, bishop takes, and this one seems like Magnus is going to win the classical. I thought he really will win. But of course, I mentioned that this at the stream as well. Magnus is already can be considered as untrained now. He's no longer training to become competitive as before. He's just playing chess, having fun. Yep. He still wins, right? But he's no longer training. So it's normal for him to collapse and not win his normal winning positions. Okay, moving forward, he made an inaccuracy and ended up in a draw. But what's interesting is the tiebreaker. So The tiebreaker was another Magnus effect. Let's go over it, and then we're gonna go over the game of Wesley and Gukesh, the world champion Gukesh. So let's go here. So the tiebreaker in the Armageddon is like this. It goes like this. You will play the same color as what you played on the current round, which is Magnus played white. So Magnus is going to play white again. Vincent plays black. White starts with 10 minutes, black starts with 7 minutes. So this is how the Armageddon looks. Black only needs a draw, and black will win the match. So white is in a must-win situation. So now let's move forward. B3. So Magnus was playing he's going for the win here. He loves to play B3. So fast forward, moving forward. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. And the position ends up in a drawish thing. In which black even has the slightest advantage. But look at the time. 7 minutes or 3 minutes. Okay? But seems like Vincent was not being shaken or is not shook by the position. He's playing the right moves. Double up, yep, just doubling up the rooks, right? And now, by the way, let's move backwards. Let's try to understand Magnus's chess understanding and brilliance. Normally, white plays rook c1 to fight for the file. Magnus didn't do that because it will be easier for black to draw. With capture, with trade-off of rooks, and then control the file again, right? Instead, Magnus played king f1. Knight e4 took, and the king e1. He's trying to avoid the trade of pieces. This is how deep Magnus's understanding of the game. Knight d6, and now, like what I said, this is a drawish with slightly better position for black. Very slight. Doubling up. Magnus is not trying to, initiate a trade. f4, and slowly, still not trying to trade. Doubling up. Rook c5, and this one. Bishop f3. I'm pretty sure before Magnus played pawn to b5, he has foreseen this idea. He wants his knight to be posted on c6, right? A now post. That's why he traded off the likes for bishop. Just a brilliant idea. And look at the time. 5 minutes 40, 5 minutes 41 to be exact, 2:20 to be exact for Magnus and Vincent. c3, d3. Here you go. And after he played d3, I knew Magnus was going to win this match. Actually, after the trade of bishops, I already have a suspicion Magnus is going to win because I know at some point the opponent on Vincent is going to feel the pressure of the Magnus effect. f6 was played. Knight d4. I mean, threatening knight e6, obviously. And here goes. They hang out square of the knights. Magnus up is going to be up by a pawn. You're down on time. Good luck. Capture, and the Magnus effect. Knight takes e7. Brilliant, chicky, brilliant. I mean, if black captures, easy fork, right? And white is up by 2 pawns, easy win. And Vincent played knight c5, in which is just a simple rook capture by Magnus, and Vincent resigns because after capture there will be rook takes c5, and ta-da! It's over. Okay, so much for this one. Let's go over the game of Wesley and the current world champion, Damaraju Gokesh. This was a Spanish game, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. Spanish. That ended up in a draw. So fast forward. There's still a line. Okay. And then at some point here in the game, Wesley made a slight inaccuracy. And I can't believe it's an inaccuracy. This one. Bishop g5. Like, what? So it's not an inaccuracy. It's not corrected. It's a blunder. Positional blunder because it's not giving away pieces. But here goes rook a1. Whoa, 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 whoa. What is really black's threat here? What does black want to do? The engine was suggesting to play queen d2. After queen a7 check, king goes to h2. And there goes, there could be rook a2. There could be bishop e5. I mean, not that one, bishop e5. But Wesley chose to play bishop to b1 when his queen was under attack. Here, he played bishop to b1, blockading. And then Gukesh played bishop a6. Takes the pawn. Bishop d3 now, putting more pressure. takes, so he obliged Wesley to sacrifice the queen. Moving forward again. Forward. Gukesh was winning here, in which he failed to convert. So moving forward. Da, 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 da. At some point, Gukesh sacrifices his knight, and Wesley was also good at putting pressure, even though Gukesh was better. As per the engine, from a human's perspective, Wesley was putting good pressure on Gukesh. Here we go. So I thought g6 was a great move too, but forward, forward, forward. Yep, this is where Gukesh gave up his knight. I thought Wesley will win, but look, this is 3 pieces versus a queen, but the queen is still much better. And forward, forward, forward. Wesley was able to create a fortress here for the rook and his knight. The knight is just one of the best defenders of the king. Look, there's no good check for the black queen. Rook f1, and this is the fortress. This pawn will not be pushed because it will just be captured. And moving forward, yep, it ended up in a draw. Now, let's go to the tiebreaker, in which it was won by Wesley. So today, the old guys, the old dudes were able to beat the youngsters. E4, E5. Okay, this is another Vienna game, but actually, I love this one. This is one of my favorite setups. My Sicilian close or chameleon setup. So fast forward. H3, bishop g5 here. Bishop f6, bishop f6, knight takes d5. Seems like white is definitely much better, right? Yep, white is up by a pawn, dude. Queen c8, a bad move. And Wesley played a great move, rook to b5. Bloop. What is the threat of this move? Black can capture h3, but it won't work because after capture, there is a move, rook c5, threatening the knight. And if whatever piece black uses to protect the knight, there will be a capture and then a fork. Brilliant, right? Brilliant, brilliant. Chicky. All right, now. Okay, coach. What if the knight runs away? If the knight runs away, there are only 2 safe squares, right? So regardless, if the knight runs away, there will still be knight e7, a discovered attack to the king and the bishop. Brilliant, brilliant, chicky. And now, white wins. So here, of course, the world champion won't fall for that simple, shallow trick. He played bishop d7, Wesley played rook c5, the same idea of forking on e7, right? Here goes rook e1, f4. So here, there was a series of, there was a mistake here. But what made a mistake for me? I was saying at the stream, bishop d6 was played, knight f6, blunder. Gukesh took it right away. But the problem is, look at Gukesh's time. Yeah, he started with 7 minutes because he was playing black, and all he needs is a draw. He took f6. It was quick. He saw it probably. Queen takes d6 and then queen e3. Look, he played this in a second, which means he spotted it. So I thought he knows how to win. but he played bishop takes h3, which is a blunder. The engine was actually suggesting bishop e6, and this move is obliging Westy to sacrifice his queen again, just like what happened on the classical match. Because here, if the queen moves away to a square that doesn't protect the rook falls. So likely, queen captures the knight, and there's a skewer, and then the rook falls, which means Wesley will sacrifice his queen again, and it's just simply winning for black. Or much better move is bishop takes c8. Yep, and this is just winning for black. So now, let's try to go back on what really happened to that ball game. Bishop takes h2 was played by Gukesh, which is a blunder. Wesley spotted it, took the knight. Now, Wesley's up by material. Bishop takes, king takes, rook d2, and a simple king f1, getting out of the pin move. Rook e8, and rook c3 was played, and Gukesh resigned. Why did he resign? Number one, he's down by material. Number two, he's down on time. And number three, the attack has collapsed. Because after the queen runs away, there'll be queen f3, and white is totally safe. Maybe let's say, just a few continuation. You may think, coach, the knight is frozen anyway, can move. It's true. Let's say black plays f5. This rook is free to go, right? It can go to c6. It can't, and I guess, well, white can even play rook, king f2, then rook e3, something like that. But okay, let's try to see. Let's go to the most convincing position that white wins. Capture check, king h8, so rook c8. This is easy because trading off the rooks. So after g4, let's say black plays something like a5. It'll be g takes f5, a4. Yeah, queen g3. And after king goes to h8, the knight is free to move again. Yep, yeah. So this is it. All right, so now let's go to the standings. So we'll be able to understand further the rules or the scoring system. So right now, Alireza has 6 out of 6. Perfect score. So in this tournament, if you win the classical, the long game one, the 2 hour, the longer game, you get 3 points. So Alireza won 2 games in a row. That's why he got 3 points for both, which is a total of 6. Now, what are the half points here? If you drew the classical, you get 1 point. Okay? And you'll get a half point if you win the Armageddon. That's how it is. So as you can see right now here, number 3 for Wesley, he has 1.5 points versus Gukesh because he drew the classical. Gukesh has 1 point as well for Wesley because he drew the classical, and a half point for winning the classical, 0 point for losing. A half point for winning the Armageddon and 0 point for losing the Armageddon. That's the scoring system. And yesterday, Wesley lost the Armageddon against Bragg, but drew the classical game. All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying tuned. We're going to have a live broadcast again, perhaps tomorrow for the round 3, and I'm going to see you tomorrow. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the Good Chess Vibe. Until next time. Bye-bye for now.